Hello, welcome to a new clip. This clip is on Manipur problem. Manipur is a flashpoint in the northeast. The geography of Manipur is that it has a long border with Myanmar. And Manipur in itself is a hilly area, hilly and valley and foothill. This type of area and this type of terrain Manipur has. Manipur in Manipur on 3rd May 2023, violence broke out, as you all know, and it continues till date. And the various efforts from the government of India and the government of Manipur have failed to contain the violence and establish peace in the state. This is the reality today in Manipur. I shall try to examine all the factors of violence and try to trace the reasons why is it persisting and how it can be contained, how the government failed. It's a long topic and it comes up every now and then in the newspapers, and I shall give you details about the developments what take place in these matters. I shall discuss with you from time to time. Now let us begin to know about Manipur as a whole. Manipur, the communities in Manipur before the British. You know, there are three communities in Manipur. One is Meitei, the other is Kukis and Chin, and the third are Nagas. Nagas are the tribal communities. They mostly resided in the hilly areas, while Metis resided in the valley. Metis were the descendants of royal family. All the Metis claim that they are from royal family. Uh, every Mati ruler claims that they claimed that they descended from Pakhanba. Pakhanba was the king of Manipur, of the same community, Meitei. He is called the dragon king or the serpent king. This community is polytheistic. They practice for polytheism. It means they worship many gods. But now all of them are Hindus. Earlier in the past, they were followers of Sanamism. Sanamism was their religion. It's a difficult name, but I just try to pronounce it. Another tribal community was the Nagas, who shared the same area with them. It means they were living alongside the Meitei. Nagas were, I have already told you, the residents of the hilly areas. They resided in the hilly areas, and the Metis lived in the valley. The Metis claim that we ruled over the whole of Manipur. It is not the valley, just the valley that we are confined to. We have the hill areas as well under our kingdom. They claimed that separating the hill areas and foregoing the claim on the hill areas on the part of the Meitei community is not acceptable. We have ruled both the valley, foothill, and the hills. They claim this. The Nagas disagreed. Nagas disagreed because they wanted their foothold on the hills, and they uh, called it their home. Around the time the British arrived and the situation complicated. Many of them said that Nagas were always independent. They called themselves independent. They were not under any ruler. They called that they were their own, uh, they followed their own rules and regulations. They couldn't live under authorities of states. In 1762, Raja Jai Singh of Manipur signed a deal with the British to defend themselves against Burma. Now Myanmar, it is called now Myanmar. The British brought the Kuki-Chin community from Manipur to settle in the foothills of Manipur to defend against the Burmese invasion. At that time, the Meitei community's King Jai Singh signed a deal with the British that they want protection from Burma. Burma was attacking on Manipur from time to time, and to prevent such attacks, the British came up with an idea. They brought Kuki Chin people, community of the from the people of the Kuki Chin community from Myanmar to Manipur, and they settled them in the foothills of Manipur. Foothills, not in the hills, not in the valley, in the foothills. It means that separated the hills from the valley. They settled there. It would act in two ways. It would, first of all, defend the Metis from the raids of the tribal Nagas and from the attacks of the Burmese or the attack from Myanmar. It was a good provision from the point of the convenience point of view of the British. It was a good idea, but it turned out to be very deadly and one of the greatest mistakes. It was a blunder on the part of the British. What happened? The later on, King Jai Singh thought that these Kuki-Jo communities should be shifted to the hills, where the Nagas were already claiming to be their home. It was claimed by the Nagas as their home, the hill areas, because they were tribals and comfortably living in the hills. This is the demography of Manipur. Later, Burma occupied Manipur. There was a period when Burma occupied Manipur from 1819 to 1826, 7 years of devastation. This period is called 7 years of devastation. The, the occupation ended in the first Anglo-Burmese war. The first Anglo-Burmese war ultimately brought to end the occupation of Manipur from the Burma, from the Burmese. The British won and the Burmese were driven away. They were the land was evicted from them. The British left Manipur and Manipur became a British protectorate. It means they did not have much interest in Manipur after that, after winning the battle of first Anglo-Burmese war. They didn't have interest and they installed their own king. It means made the area their protectorate. Manipur became the British protectorate. In 1890, there was a palace coup in Manipur. What happened? A coup happened. Coup means the king is dethroned. The king was driven away from his throne. He was just uh, taken. The charge of the king was dismantled. In 1890, when the palace coup took place, the British and the matter subsided after some times. The matter, when there was peace later on, the British made 5 years old Chura Chand as the king and an imaginary line between the hills and the valley was drawn to keep both the residents of the valley and the residents of the hills separate from each other. The cookies began to raid the valley. When the World War first broke out, the British asked for soldiers from the Maharaja Churachand. As you know, from 1914 to 1918, the World War first happened, and during that period, when the British asked for help from the Manipur ruler Churachand, who was the Maharaja of the state at that time, he offered help. All the communities, Nagas, Meitei soldiers were ready to participate in the war on behalf of the communities, but Cookies resisted it. They didn't participate in the war, they just abstained it. And they raided the valley where Meitei community lived, taking the advantage of the situation. The situation where the British were busy in fighting the First World War and the ruler was alone and the community was unarmed in a way. The British army was called in and the cookies were driven further deep into the hills. What happened when the cookies raided and they uh, tried to establish their control? Uh, when the water went above head, the army was called and the situation was controlled. Cookies was driven away. Now understand the geography. Cookies form 28% of the population, while the Meiteis have 53% in the population of Manipur. It means there are 50% Meitei people and 28% Cookies, Cookiejo community people. 90% of the state is hilly area, and Kuki, Jos, and Nagas reside in those hilly areas. Only 10% is valley where the Meitei community resides. Here, see the difference. The greater number of the population lives in the valley, but the area is short, the area is not large, and few people, a small number of the population lives in the hill areas, which is 90% of the total area of the state. They have a large area. Kokijo community has a large area, hilly areas, because hilly area is larger than the valley area. This is the condition of Manipur. Cookies hated the British more than the Meitei. They regarded Meitei rulers as protectors. Later, even Manipur rulers had cookies as their bodyguards. They didn't like to distrust them. They had full faith that these people, but the friction was always present. Later, Manipur, after independence, became Union territory. When India got freedom in 1947, Manipur became Union territory. 2 years after independence, Naga insurgency began. Nagas demanded a separate country for themselves. They had already claimed a separate identity for themselves, and that is why they demanded a separate land to live, a separate country to live. The Meitei also took up arms. They were dreaming of good old royal days. They were royal descendants. That is why those who are from the royal families always live in the royalty of their minds, whether it is a lived reality, lived experience or not. But they like to live in that, and this is what happened at the time. They took up arms. They wanted to bring back the good old days. Meiteis were fighting against two fronts, against the Naga insurgency and the Indian government itself. Now the Kukis wanted their separate land in Manipur. It means all the three communities were claiming land rights and separate country for themselves. They were seeking separate countries for themselves. All of them hate each other. In 1993, a major violence took place in Manipur, ethnic violence, and it displaced thousands of people, and thousands of people were killed as well. It was insurgency versus insurgency. It means insurgency within insurgency. All the three communities were locked, had locked horns, and they were fighting with one another. Now, what is the condition of Manipur today? Meitei community feels that their culture and language is under threat. The community has larger population size, but they feel that their culture and language is under threat. They also feel that the state demography is changing because of the illegal cookie migration from Myanmar. From Myanmar border, lot of cookies are entering into their state, and they are changing the demography of the state. They are particularly concerned about this development. They feel besieged. They are surrounded by Cookie Joe's community people. The Cookie are already scheduled tribe. They are scheduled tribe. And since cookies have progressed somewhat as the Metis feel because of the EST status granted to them by the constitution, the government, they also have claimed that status for themselves. The Metis are claiming the ST status, and it means scheduled tribe status for themselves. The cookies say that you belong to the royal family, you were the rulers of the state, we were the tribals living in the hills. That is why you cannot claim this status. This is our right, not your right. The cookies protest their inclusion into the EST category. This has led to the present crisis in Manipur. No one can be held responsible for this crisis that prevails today in Manipur. Although no one can be held responsible because there are so many factors. Burma, colonial era, uh, the culture and separate identity of the Mathis, demography, so many factors are contributing to this stalemate and crisis in Manipur. The colonial history, when cookies were brought in from Myanmar to protect Metis community from Naga attack, raid, and the failure of successive governments, this was the biggest uh, mistake on part of the British at the time when they brought the cookies from Manipur to settle in the foothills of the area to act as a buffer against the Metis. It was the blunder committed by the British at the time. This issue has been a burning issue, and successive governments have also failed to bring into the mainstream the warring communities, ethnic groups in Manipur. This is also can be called a failure. In fact, the whole of northeastern India, the kind of separation they feel from the mainstream Indian land is rooted in a long neglect towards the northern eastern states of India. They have also failed to make ethnic reconciliation possible. Governments have failed to make ethnic reconciliation possible. It means there have been efforts to bring the communities together, but a confidence between among those communities has never been aroused, and it's lacking even today. What can be done at this time? The first thing is to contain the violence that is spiraling out, and also build trust between the communities. I have tried my best to present this topic, and I hope you will like it. Thank you very much for watching this.